It was a cold, quiet evening. David sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. Priya stood near the window, her arms crossed, tears building in her eyes. The house was filled with silence, but the air was heavy with tension. They had just had another argument, not about money, not about cheating, just something small, or at least it seems small. This time, it was about a message David forgot to reply to. Just a simple text Priya had sent during the day. She was feeling low and wanted to talk, but he had been too busy at work and forgot. That little moment, one forgotten text, turned into a big fight. And this wasn't the first time. They loved each other. They were good people, but lately, it felt like they were always on edge. Arguments started over nothing, and ended with both of them feeling unheard, misunderstood, and hurt. This is the story of many couples. The truth is, most marriage conflicts don't start because of big betrayals. They start because of emotional misunderstandings rooted deeply in the difference between men and women. Let's pause here and look deeper. David isn't a bad husband. He works hard, loves his wife, and wants to make her happy. But he's wired differently. When things go wrong, his first instinct is to fix it quickly, to move on and not dwell on feelings. That's how his mind works. Priya is different. When something hurts her, she wants to talk about it. She wants to connect, to feel heard, to feel close. She doesn't want a solution right away. She wants someone to understand what she's feeling. The problem is, both of them are right. But because they don't understand their differences, they end up clashing. Here's what science tells us. When men experience stress, their body produces cortisol, the main stress hormone. This can make them feel overwhelmed, irritated, or withdrawn. Their brain tells them to act or retreat, not to talk about it. That's why many men become quiet or distant during arguments. They're not ignoring their partner. They're trying to manage their stress in the only way they know how, by pulling away and calming down. Women also produce cortisol under stress. That part is the same. But during the recovery phase, after the stress hits, their body often releases more oxytocin than men. Oxytocin is sometimes called the bonding hormone. It promotes connection, closeness, and calm. This makes many women feel a strong need to talk, to express emotions, and to seek emotional support after an upsetting event. So, when Priya felt ignored and emotional, her body naturally wanted to reconnect. She needed David to hear her, to be present with her pain. But David's brain was trying to protect itself from emotional overload by shutting down and walking away. This is where the real conflict began. Not in the words they said, but in the unseen emotional systems running in the background. One wants to talk, the other wants space. One says, "Please understand how I feel." The other says, "I need time to think." It feels personal, but it's not, it's biology. Famous author and relationship expert John Gray wrote, "When a man is under stress, he becomes focused and withdrawn. When a woman is under stress, she becomes overwhelmed and emotionally involved." This doesn't mean all men and women are the same, but it shows the common pattern many couples fall into. Let's go back to David and Priya. After their argument, David didn't say much. He felt frustrated. In his mind, he hadn't done anything wrong. He was just busy. He didn't understand why Priya was so upset over one message. But deep inside, he also felt helpless. Every time she cried or got emotional, he felt like a failure. So, instead of staying, he walked out to cool off. Priya stayed in the room, crying. She wasn't mad about the text, not really. What hurt her was that when she needed someone, she felt alone. She felt like David didn't care, but she didn't know how to say it calmly, so it came out as anger and blame. That night, they slept facing opposite directions, not because they hated each other, but because neither knew how to cross the space between them. And this is how love often suffers, not from big betrayals, but from emotional distance. There's a study published in the journal Emotion that followed married couples and measured how they reacted to conflict. The couples who recovered well after arguments weren't the ones who avoided fights. They were the ones who responded with empathy. Those who paused, listened, and understood their partner's emotional world stayed stronger over time. Understanding the difference between men and women isn't about choosing sides. It's about recognizing how differently we feel, express, and recover from stress. In David's case, his testosterone and cortisol levels were high. His body told him to fix or flee. In Priya's case, her cortisol was also high, but her oxytocin response pushed her to seek closeness. Two people, two natural reactions, but no one teaches us this in school or in love. That's why we take things personally. That's why we think, he doesn't care about me. She always makes a big deal out of nothing. When in truth, we're just reacting in the way our bodies are designed to. One day, after another long argument, David finally said something different. He didn't try to explain or defend. He just said, "I know I shut down when you get emotional. It's not because I don't care. I just don't know what to do when you cry. It scares me because I want to fix it, and I can't." Priya was silent for a moment. Then she whispered, "I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to sit with me, to let me feel like I'm not alone." That moment didn't fix everything, but it opened the door to something better, understanding. And for the first time in weeks, they held hands before falling asleep. Because sometimes, love isn't about saying the perfect thing. It's about being present, even when it's uncomfortable. The great psychologist Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." Marriage is that reaction. It's not easy, but it's powerful. David and Priya began to learn small ways to meet each other halfway. When David felt overwhelmed, he would say, "I need 10 minutes to breathe, but I'll come back and we'll talk." When Priya felt emotional, she would say, "I'm feeling hurt. Can we sit together for a while?" It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Understanding these emotional and biological patterns helped them stop taking things so personally. They stopped blaming and started explaining. They stopped walking away and started walking toward each other. If you're watching this and thinking, "This sounds like me," you're not alone. Arguments in marriage are normal. Feeling misunderstood is normal, but staying stuck in a cycle of pain doesn't have to be. When we understand the difference between men and women, we stop expecting our partner to react like we would. Instead, we learn their rhythm. We understand that space doesn't mean rejection, and emotion doesn't mean drama. It means caring, deeply, in different ways. So next time you and your partner argue, take a pause. Ask yourself, is this really about the dishes, the text message, or the tone of voice? Or is this about feeling unseen, unheard, or unloved? Sometimes, the argument is just the surface. The real issue is what's hidden underneath, the longing for closeness, respect, or peace. You don't need to be perfect to make love work. You just need to be willing to learn, to stay, to try again, and to see your partner not as your opponent, but as someone hurting in a different language. Let's stop expecting love to always feel smooth. Real love is messy, complicated, and full of growth. But it's also beautiful. It's in the little moments, the hand held after a fight, the quiet "I'm sorry," the deep breath before yelling back. So if you're tired of arguing, if you feel like you're speaking different languages, you probably are. But that's okay. Because once you learn how your partner loves, stresses, and heals, you stop clashing and start connecting. You've come this far. You're already stronger than you think. Let this be the moment where everything changes, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. You are not too broken. Your relationship is not too far gone. You just need new eyes, a little patience, and a heart that's ready to try again. You've got this. Love can still win, and the best chapter of your story may still be waiting to be written together.